Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 10, the show before the show. I'm your host. I'm super excited. I'm throwing shit all over the place. I'm your host, John Mappa. As always, I'm joined by Devin Frank and Mike Mislinski. What's up, guys? Welcome back. We took a break. We had our own bye week. Everybody gets one in the NFL season. Our bye week was week 9, but we are back. We're fresh. We're ready to go. What's up?
Yeah, man. Glad to be back. Unfortunately, we couldn't make last week work, but this week we've got you on the road and, Miz isn't even home. So we're doing our best to make sure we get back on track here. So,
yeah, of course. And, it's really funny if you look back at the last time we did this show to when we're doing it now, so much has changed, injuries wise, teams that are losing that we thought were good. Like there's just a lot of influx stuff going on right now. We got quarterbacks who got COVID and are stirring up all types of controversy, which we're not going to dive into, but it's all happened in the last 10 to 14 days. So action-packed week up ahead, and we're going to cover all of that as we move forward here. So let's just jump right into it. ESPN power rankings like we normally do. Let's go over some of these. This actually probably is a little bit different than where we were a couple of weeks ago. But number one, you got the Arizona Cardinals coming in here at 8-1. They were previously ranked number 2 last week. Honestly, just with a practice squad beat up on the 49ers, who I didn't take them in our picks, but I thought they had a chance there. I thought they were going to win, but God forbid that happened. So Cardinals here, 8-1. They look to be fully stocked and loaded, even with injuries and people not playing. So Cardinals here, number 1. Number 2, the Tennessee Titans, my AFC Super Bowl pick. Midway through the year, 7-2. That defense, who we've all questioned in the beginning of the year is holding on. They are up from number 8. Surprising win on the road against the Rams, who a lot of people have as the Super Bowl favorites on the NFC side. So kudos to them. Big win. We'll see what happens with them, see if they can hold on without Derrick Henry. But Titans making a push here at number 2. Number 3, we got the Green Bay Packers. They were previously ranked number 1 as of last week, but no Aaron Rodgers this week. Jordan Love just did basically nothing. Packers lost that game to the Chiefs. So no shock there that they dropped, but they didn't go too far because, let's face it, Aaron Rodgers makes that team a totally different team. So not really too worried about them losing without him, to be honest.
Let's hope they get Odell and they're going to really take the leap.
Hey man, Odell is free to go wherever he wants, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
He said, if I'm him, like, why would you not go to a contender? So we'll see.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you go play with Aaron Rodgers?
Packers, Chiefs, Raiders. There's one more team on his list.
Rams?
Going to the Chiefs though. Oh, Rams might be on his list as well.
I heard the Seahawks at one point too, but I don't know why he would go there, quite frankly. Yeah. They don't need a wide receiver. They need offensive line help.
Right.
And
Packers or Patriots make the most sense. But Patriots aren't going. They'll be a first-round knockout if they make it.
I couldn't see them putting up with this shit. So Packers make a lot of sense.
Imagination. Getting ads pushed to me here. Okay, let's. That's our cue to move on. So number 4 here, we got the Los Angeles Rams, 7-2. They are previously down from number 3 last week. Like I said, they had that tough home loss against the Titans on Sunday Night Football. Bold prediction here. Cooper Kupp is probably going to win Offensive Player of the Year, at least as it's trending. And I know that's not bold. I was just kidding. But yeah, I think the Rams are fine. They'll be okay. Probably be in contention for that potential bye at the end of the year. Tampa Bay Bucks. What was that, Dev?
Von Miller now too.
Yeah, I know. Just do they not have a cap? Or do they're pulling picks out of their ass? I don't know.
The Broncos kept the payment, so they'll be making the payment in exchange.
They're in clear win now mode. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Coming in here at number 5, you got the Tampa Bay Bucks, 6-2, previously ranked number 4. Brady and that offense seems to be rolling just fine. They had a bye week. They lost to the Saints last time we saw them, but division game, honestly, the Saints seem to have just their number. in terms of regular season games. So it is what it is there. Baltimore Ravens, your boys coming in at number 6, Miz. Lamar Jackson is looking really good, like a complete quarterback.
That's about it.
Yeah. That is about it. Nothing else other than him really jumps off the page when you think of the Baltimore Ravens. But honestly, that's the most important position you want to jump off the page when you're talking about your football team. So good for him. Good for the Ravens. Like I said, 6-2.
Good for me.
Coming here at number 6. Good for you. Yeah. I wish you nothing but happiness. Well, Dev, your team's still in contention. I'm just a bitter
I see that.
bastard at this point.
I suck too.
Okay, number 7 here, Dallas Cowboys. They got embarrassed and walloped on Sunday by the Denver Broncos. So surprised that they're still even this high up. But I guess one loss isn't going to do it. They're still 6-2. They were previously ranked number 5. They just didn't get it going. I don't know what the deal was, if that was just, a one-off. Definitely a little bit of a red flag though, if you're a Dallas fan. So we'll see what happens. Time will tell with them. Buffalo Bills, another team that laid a stinker on Sunday, losing to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I don't understand what happened here, but the Bills really just kind of shit the bed, honestly. I just didn't see that coming at all. I think I had the Bills in my picks, minus 14.5. Thought that would be a breeze. Okay, these ads are insane. It's every 15 minutes. We gotta get out of here. All right.
That's awesome.
The Buffalo Bills, it'll probably happen again. The Buffalo Bills coming in there at number 8. Number 9 here, Los Angeles Chargers. They're previously up from number 12. I think, if their defense gets sorted out and they figure themselves out on the defensive side of the ball, we all know their offense is really good and rolling. They'll be a team to contend with for the playoffs. And, it's by no means the Chiefs division this year. So that AFC West is going to be up for grabs come the end of the year. Even if the Chiefs pick it back up, they already put themselves in such a hole where some of these games are going to be super important down the stretch. So that'll be a fun race to watch, because you got the Raiders in the mix too, your boys miss. And then finally, Dev, your team rounding out the bottom 10 here, or the top 10, I should say. The Cleveland Browns up from number 16, absolutely blow out the Cincinnati Bengals with no OBJ, as we mentioned. Baker's free to do what he wants, toss the ball around. You got Nick Chubb breaking off 70-yard runs, which got to make you a little bit happy, even though he's now on the COVID list. But yeah, the Browns here 5-4 with a much needed victory, honestly, given their play the last couple of weeks.
Season saving.
Yeah, really that's a big one. So, yep, really, as usual, those are the top 10 power rankings. That's what we cover. There's obviously a bunch more. Feel free to check that out if you wish. Let's jump into some of our other sections here. Just some news and notes from around the league. So, the couple of big ones that everybody's aware of. One, like I just mentioned, Nick Chubb does find himself on the COVID list. That brings Dearness Johnson back into the fold in terms of maybe guys that you can consider this Sunday. I don't know if that does anything for either of you, but it is something just to note. No Nick Chubb this weekend.
Yeah, he has to pass 2 COVID tests within 24 hours. Well, 24 hours apart.
Yeah.
And Felton is actually out, is dealing with the same thing. So Dearness Johnson would be looking at the clear lead back role, in which last time
he performed last time he had that lead back role. So
46 yards against a good Denver team. Good Denver team.
Right.
Yeah, I certainly would be in play if those guys were out.
Yep, keep an eye on that. Also, I don't think it really makes a difference for this week, because if he signs anywhere, he's not going to be an impact player. But maybe throughout the course of the season or the rest of the season, OBJ, obviously a free agent. We'll see where he lands. We just mentioned a bunch of teams prior, all good landing spots, all potential blow up spots for him, given who's tossing him the ball and their offensive schemes, minus the Patriots, Patriots. I don't know if he fits their offensive scheme. They're not really one to kind of blow the lid off with their play calling. Not exactly a West Coast offense, but the other ones that we mentioned definitely could be game changing for OBJ. Maybe revitalize his career because I think he had a forgettable career in Cleveland. I don't know if I don't want to speak for you, Dev, or the Cleveland fans, but it seems that way. Some other stuff here on the receiver front. Chase Claypool is considered week to week with a toe injury. I think honestly, if anything, if he's out, that just gives more of a boost to Deontay Johnson, who we all like on this show. Something to monitor that. If Claypool's out, I'll be getting some exposure in my lineups to Deontay Johnson a little bit more than I would normally, even though we do like him. Tua Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa, thank you, Miz, is questionable for week 10 against the Ravens. This doesn't impact too much on the quarterback front. I don't think anybody was throwing him in too many lineups. However, we have seen guys on that offense kind of come to life like Waddle and whatnot. So whether you're for or against Tua, this could dictate whether you'd like to play those guys or not. Some people are convinced that the offense is better without him, but others, they're a fanboy of our boy Tua here. So I'm not sure what your guys' opinion is on that, but
well, it's a Thursday night game, so their showdown lineups are going to be ridiculous. I mean, they're going to be all over the board. You're going to have Lamar as the highest owned captain, most definitely.
Probably.
And then you're going to have, probably you're going to have Waddle in there, and then you're going to fill it in with all the rest of the Ravens guys. I mean, because we saw last week. I'm not sure if I mentioned this on the show or pre-show on Sunday, but it's hard to stack Lamar with somebody because like Devonta Freeman, Patrick Ricard, Le'Veon Bell are getting the touchdowns. It's weird. So it's tough.
It's hard to pinpoint that Ravens offense once you leave Lamar Jackson. Maybe you get really crazy and contrarian if you're doing like a 20 entry or a multi-entry showdown. You just do like Lamar and then 5 Dolphins.
Right.
There you go.
Just see what happens. Throw a dart. Some other news here. Both of the Patriots running backs, Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, missed practice on Wednesday. They are dealing with concussions. I've seen Ramondre Stevenson get a lot of love on just fantasy articles and just Twitter. I see people pushing for him if Damian Harris were to miss. But that's definitely a situation that you want to probably monitor. Ramondre had a really good game on Sunday, kind of definitely his best campaign or his best game of his young career as far as the NFL goes. But people in New England are excited about him, so figured I'd throw that out there.
It over 100 yards combined between rushing and receiving.
Yeah, no, it's all good things if you're a Pats fan, anyways. Because Damian Harris he's pretty young too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been around a few years, but he's still.
But he's not like, yeah, exactly. Be nice if you get both of them going if you're a fan. And then finally, I put this on here. Zeke was limited in practice on Wednesday with a knee injury. I think it was more alarming in the beginning of this week because I had read that he was getting it wrapped during the game and they weren't really sure how much of an injury it was or how bad of an injury it was, I should say. But honestly, something like I said to monitor. Zeke has had really good year so far. Looks like Zeke of old, minus last week for the most part. But yeah, it would be a shame to see him go down with a knee injury or be limited in games when they're not telling us something. So just throwing that out there as maybe a red flag if people are all over Zeke this week.
Yeah, the running back's banged up. I mean, you mentioned Zeke too, and Kamara news just came out that he's a little banged up. So, the list is huge. Zach Moss, Chase Edmonds is doubtful. It's a big list this week of injuries. But that's what happens when we get this deep into the season.
I was going to say it's the NFL, and good for them. They added another week, too. So the injuries are going to keep piling up.
Just what they need.
Tom Brady called it this week one of the dumbest decisions that they did. So unless you're fans like us, then we love it. But yeah. I get it from the player's perspective, for sure. So speaking of Zeke, brings us to this next section.
You know what the happiest animal on earth is? It's a goldfish. You know why?
No.
It's got a 10-second memory. Be a goldfish, Sam. Yeah?
Be a goldfish. We love this section here. It's basically where we pinpoint guys who kind of dudded the week before, but are by no means off of our radar. So, Zeke and the Cowboys had somewhat of a stinker for sure on Sunday. That leaves me to start with our number one guy here on this list is CeeDee Lamb. Be a goldfish, dropped 4.3 points. $7,000 price tag, and was 10.2% owned across all GPPs.
He had 9 targets. So it's not like the targets weren't there, which is, exactly what we're looking for the Be a Goldfish section. The targets were there. It just didn't have a good game. The team didn't have a good game. It just got away from
I was
him.
gonna say it was just a bad game. It's one of those things that, like this next person I'm about to mention, set it and forget it right now. I mean, the team is good this year. The Cowboys, they're 6-2. That was their second loss. They have been putting up nice offensive numbers for the most part this year. So again, not too much cause for alarm. Definitely be a goldfish on CeeDee Lamb, probably Amari Cooper and the rest of them too, while we're at it. Again, this next guy, like I mentioned, Josh Allen, $8,200 price tag. Dropped 12.56 points and was 11% owned in all major GPPs. Josh Allen is putting together an MVP-like year this year. So this was definitely off character for him as far as 2021 goes. So I'm definitely putting him on the Be a Goldfish list.
Yep, and same thing we're looking at. I mean, 47 pass attempts. So like with CeeDee Lamb, it's not like the volume wasn't there. It's not like, it just was a weird week. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. I mean, who would have guessed? I mean, they had the highest total of the week on the board last week, I believe. 31 and a half points was their Vegas implied total, and they scored 6 points. So
yeah,
sometimes in sports, you go, it is what it is. It just, sometimes teams don't show up, and that's all it was.
We like to call those a reality check.
Yeah.
Keep them grounded. As long as it wasn't January or February and you're losing like that, then it's all good in NFL standards. Speaking of teams that lost and guys that really didn't perform or underperformed for week 9, Aaron Jones makes this list. $7,200 price tag, 5.3 points, 9.3% owned. Putting Aaron Jones on this Be a Goldfish list.
That was we talked about it pre-show. That was a game plan issue too. I mean, they just had a poor game plan. They put the entire offense in a bad spot. They didn't trust Love, and it made them predictable. And so I, completely just Be a Goldfish here. He's not having quite the season that he had last year, but he's still. Luckily, his price tag isn't where it was last year, though. He's not an 8K player anymore. But he's got
8K potential. So.
Yes, he's got a 41 and a half point game on his log this year. He's got multiple 20-point games. So assuming Aaron Rodgers is back, absolutely Be a Goldfish with Aaron Jones.
Yeah, 100%. And finally on this list, the guy who was having a great sophomore season here, Joe Burrow, $6,800 price tag. Got beat up on Sunday by your Browns, 9.38 points, 7.8% ownership. So I'm throwing Joe Burrow on this list as well. That Cincinnati offense looks really good. He's got plenty of weapons around him. No reason to believe that he won't come back stronger next week. Not this week. I think they're on bye this week, but Joe Burrow definitely not riding him off by any means.
Nope.
Of course, I had them as a stack too, of course. But
I had them in one of my stacks as well.
He's been absolutely on fire. So one bad game, it was coming. So it's fine. Let's jump back on.
Yep, exactly.
And the funny thing is, it wasn't even necessarily. It was one bad play. They started the game, huge drive, get all the way down to the 1 yard line, and he throws a 99-yard pick six. Completely changes the game. That one play, literally, that doesn't happen. You know, he may end up having a pretty good game. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I put zero stock into that. That offense is absolutely loaded. It was just, they ran into a desperate Browns team. And the chips just kind of fell right away with that one play. You know, the game was over right at that play.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I didn't really watch the game. I was watching Red Zone, and I feel like I just kept seeing highlights every couple 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Yeah, so those are our goldfish for the week. Like I said, feel free to play those guys moving forward. We're definitely not off of them. I think, certain game scripts will call definitely them to the front lines in either one of our cash or our GPP builds again this year. So keep an eye out for that. Moving on to some other stuff here. Let's take a look at some of these winning cash lineups. Dev, you were able to pull some of these lineups based on our cheat sheet here. So if you're looking at the screen, we got the DK and the FanDuel lineups. Let's take a look at this DK lineup and break it down for me here.
Yeah. So again, this is what we're looking at here is the plays listed on our cheat sheet that were labeled a cash type play. If you're looking at our cheat sheet, they're cash. If they have any label other than GPP, they're a cash label. They're a cash play. So pretty straightforward here. Lamar, obviously.
Hold on 1 second, Dev. Miz, are you watching another news show in the background?
Stupid ass ads. That's for my fucking job.
These ads. This is the show of the ads. They're wreaking havoc on us here on week 10.
They are.
Try to cut my mic out.
All right. Anyways, Lamar was our top projected ownership play. Ended up having a really good game. A little overtime helped, but that's okay.
He was not having a good game until the end, because I had him in my cash lineup and I was like, oh man, I'm so dead.
And a little overtime luck never hurts. The funny thing is, essentially, this entire list we talked about on the show very specifically. Cordero Patterson, you and I literally talked about how nobody ever plays this dude.
Mm-hmm.
Us included. Nobody plays him, and he just keeps putting 15 to 20 points every single week. And here he is again.
You're just waiting to be let down with him. That's my mentality.
Right. But he just
I'm like, I should play Cordero, but this will be the week he screws me over. Like,
just keep on. So Nick Chubb obviously makes a ton of sense. We talked about him at length on the show. Hunter Renfrow is one of those opportunity plays. Ruggs is out. Hunter Renfrow was the clear number one receiver for that team. As weird as it is to think that a slot receiver could be, the number one, he is for that team. He's actually quietly had a pretty productive season, about double digits every week. Marquise Brown is the guy you personally were very high on. We talked about it on the show. I originally had not mentioned him, and then I circled back, talked about him because I knew how high you were on him, and it was a great call. 23.6. He's a guy we've talked about all season, been super consistent, very quietly. Nobody ever plays him. Devonta Smith, kind of a ownership pricing play here. It's been a little up and down, but again, made sense at that price. Jared Cook, there was surprise, we got a punt tight end. Joe Mixon's another guy who's been super consistent. And then
he's had a great year.
Defense, you're talking about, you never want to prioritize defense like we talk about all the time. So we end up with Dolphins defense here at 3,100. So all these plays,
a pretty top tier defense in terms of like the slate, right? I think the max was the Bills at 4,000, which if you would have built around that, you would have been sorely upset.
Yeah. Yeah, they made sense in the matchup with the price. So this is a very logical lineup, all plays that make a ton of sense. And if you noticed, it's a very mid-range lineup, which is what we talked about this week this week just made so much sense with the way the pricing was, which is why we talked about not needing to play like a Jordan Love in cash, and comes as no surprise that this is what the lineup ended up looking like.
Yeah. And then if we bounce over to the FanDuel side, what do we see here? A couple of similarities, Lamar, Joe
Yeah.
Mixon, Hunter Renfro.
Very similar. We see some pricing plays here. Devontae Booker was a pricing play. Him and Gaskin were way too cheap on FanDuel. Talked about that. Actually, in my core plays, I said as part of my course that you needed to play one of Booker or Gaskin because they were just too cheap. You needed that value. So we get Booker, who's actually been pretty consistent. He didn't have a huge day, but at his price tag, he paid off that salary, opened up things for the rest of the lineup as well. Obviously, we see Lamar. A lot of this is very similar. Keenan Allen was another one of those pricing plays. It's been really cheap on FanDuel for the last 5 years, I swear. Darren Waller's, we did have to pay up on tight end at FanDuel, but that's pretty common over on FanDuel because of the way they do the pricing. DraftKings, you get so cheap. Kelsey and Waller are $7K, and then your punt tight ends are $3K. Whereas on FanDuel, the difference is not nearly as drastic. A punt tight end's about $5K, top tier tight end's about $7. So you don't see that huge gap. So it's not a surprise to see Waller here. Nick Chubb, again, same thing. A little surprising to see the pay up a defense. Patriots, that's a lot to pay up for a defense, but
Oh, right. 4,800.
yeah, you could have done a really strong build with even the Chiefs defense was a punt option this week. You could have upgraded Devontae Smith and still landed with a really high score. So again, makes a ton of sense here.
Yeah. No, and all available on the cheat sheet, right? So the
Yep.
combos are there. I mean, we try to help you get there, but like you said, we spoke about a lot of these guys on the show at length during the cash section. And, and you're looking at these scores, 214 on DraftKings. That's winning you tournaments, let alone cash.
Oh, yeah,
games.
you're cashing. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And then 184 also a nice score there on the FanDuel side. So yeah, all good stuff there from our cheat sheet. But let's bounce over to some of the more riskier lineups that you want to put together, which would be GPP. This is something that we also talk about on the show. Miz likes to give his stacks and whatnot, but let's take a look at the builds this week for the winning milli makers. So on the DraftKings side here, looks like we got Justin Herbert, Nick Chubb, Zach Moss, Jalen Waddle, Keenan Allen, Marquise Brown, Mike Gesicki, James Conner. That's the game winner right there. Not many people were hammering James Conner. I guarantee you that much. Actually, it was the opposite. We spoke about Chase Edmonds during the show, and I heard other people talk about him too. So an injury and boom, that's it. Changes your whole day around. Anything to note here, Miz or Dev, on any of these builds? I think you're muted from when we.
Yeah, I'm just
We get an audio guy in here.
Yeah, seriously. I love the Houston stack. I mean, that was my top stack, but I wasn't going to play them, without Tua. And their scores weren't even great. It just really a weird week all around. Some good, plays in here like Herbert, Marquise, and Keenan, and not so much James Conner, but
Look, and I know somebody played this lineup, and we just did the cash lineups, which is, the way we pull that is just the best combination possible based on the cheat sheet. But let's just say, for argument's sake, you did both. The cash lineup actually scored higher than the GPP one. It was 214, right? Is that what I said?
Is this for DraftKings?
Yeah, this is DraftKings here. Yep. And this is 205.
Yep.
So pretty telling story of the week, honestly. just a crazy week.
Yeah, it's just weird. I'm just chalking it up as just one of those weird ones. Zach Moss had 4.4. Like, come on. All right.
I know. And you win $1 million. That you gotta be kidding me.
All right.
But again, James Conner gets you 40 points. There you go.
Right.
Moving over to the FanDuel side here. This looks a little bit more normal, I guess you would say, in terms of the players. But again, James Conner, he was the difference maker this week. There's always one, especially on these milli maker tournaments. But
Parham, which I do. I like Donald Parham, but I mean, it's hard to play a dude like that. But I mean, I guess it's an optimizer type play here.
I was just about to say, these tournaments, 150 entries and some of the, I don't know if this person, how many entries they had, but I feel like with guys like Parham and James Conner, he probably had more than one entry.
Yeah.
The ownership here is really telling though, because I talk about this a lot. There's this idea that you only win GPPs with all like a 1% owned lineup. I mean, look at this lineup. You can win with a fairly chalky lineup, just mixing in a few of these pivot super low owned plays like a Parham at 0.2%, you know, even the Patriots defense at 5%, James Conner at under 4%. So
Yeah, and that's a great point, Devin. I mean, that is the notion when you're building these lineups, like, oh, Millie Maker, I gotta, whatever, I gotta be different,
you
right?
do
It's
want
like,
to take some risk. I mean, I'm not, yeah, but
I think you have to take some risks. Like, look, Parham was, and this is FanDuel, owned in 0.2% drafted, right? And then
Don't
even
be
James
afraid.
Conner was sub 4.
yeah, don't be afraid. If a guy's I say this all the time, if a guy's in a smash spot, I don't really care what his ownership is, just play him. So that's just something I like to throw out there for GPP builds. As much as you want to be different, you don't always, doesn't always have to be these crazy builds, especially if you're doing MME. Mix some chalk guys in there. You may get lucky with this is probably an optimizer lineup, and he probably had, you know, a lot of these chalk guys and then some of these lower owned plays mixed in, and he got the right combo.
I mean, sometimes you can, I've done this too. I mean, I've never won $1 million, but sometimes I'll take my cash lineup and then just like substitute one or two guys, you know, like lower on, like, you know, contrarian plays, and then I'll just roll with that. Just to be consistent, because, you know, your chalk is chalk for a reason, right? Like, they're gonna put
That means
points.
they're in a great spot. Yep.
So they can be the backbone, and then you're gambling on a James Conner dropping 40, you know?
Yeah.
Which isn't, you know, it's better doing it that way, in my opinion, than like just putting a bunch of James Connors in there and needing them all to blow up, you know, like the all or nothing strategy. So
Sure.
that's our winning lineups for the week. You know, we have fun doing this, breaking down the good, the bad, and the ugly. So for sure, we'll keep doing this and stay true to our mantra here and our ideologies. Basically, we hold true to everything we say. I mean, some weeks we miss, some weeks we nail it. But I think if you look at this stuff on the broad spectrum of like when we started in week 1 and probably where we end up in week 18, if you stay true and have like a fundamental and sound process, you're usually going to end up on the plus side of things, barring a shit show, pretty much.
Yep.
All right, let's move into our next section. This is called You Didn't Know. Truth be told, I didn't really pull too many stats here, so we're gonna do this live on the fly. Of course, the first one I'm reading here is Colt McCoy completed 20 of 22 passes for 174 yards and a touchdown against the 49ers, of fewer than 10 air yards. I don't even know if this qualifies as a stat that we're even worth using, because I don't think Colt McCoy is going to play many more games. But the 49ers stink. That's my stat. That's my stat from there.
Arizona has a, you know, Cliff Kingsbury gets a lot of shit, but his offensive system is not, it's pretty good. I mean, Colt McCoy stepped in, and Colt McCoy's terrible. And yeah, he threw the ball like 5 yards, but they still managed to put up 250 yards. And so that does speak to the system a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're a solid team. How many teams can go out there and not have their starting quarterback, their top 2 wide receivers, and lose their starting running back in the game on the road against a division opponent who is, they're not bad. I just said they stink. The Niners are not bad. They're like it's not like it's the Jacksonville Jaguars who beat the Bills.
Still talented.
That's what I'm saying. Like that, like the cards were there for them to lose that. If they rolled over and died, nobody would have thought anything of it. Like the Packers, for example, against the Chiefs.
Yes.
You know, like we wouldn't be really freaking out about the Cardinals, but no, they kind of hung in there. They honestly embarrassed the Niners on the road, so good for them, I guess. Let's move over to a different team, different division here, different conference. Patriots QB Mac Jones joined Andrew Luck and Dak Prescott as the only rookies since the merger to have 5+ wins, 10+ passing touchdowns, and 2,000+ passing yards in their first 9 career games. Is Mac Jones coming into his own here? Starting to get into a groove, or are we not really putting too much stock into this?
I mean, it's
He's
not.
definitely good.
Yeah, I was actually high on them coming in. There's just, it's not him though. It's a system, and there's a lot of sneaky talent on this team. So I'm not surprised to see them winning.
Story of the franchise there. It's not the QB, it's the system.
Right.
Well, I mean, Tom Brady doesn't count, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then we won't stay on the stats for too long, but this is a good one, I think. Also promote some questions here. Sunday was the Ravens' 4th win this season when having a win probability of 15% or lower at some point in the second half. This also happened against Kansas City in week 2, Detroit in week 3, and Indy in week 5. Are we seeing, like I mentioned before too, when we talk about Lamar Jackson, the maturity of that organization and ability to win big games? This is what you look for in playoff teams, right? The ability to bend but don't break. And it seems like they're able to do that. And like I said, Lamar is proving to be a more complete quarterback than everybody kind of leads on when you speak about him in general. I know, Miz, I'm in a bunch of group chats with you. I've seen you defend him till you're blue in the face. But it's hard to ignore what he's doing this year.
It's crazy, man. I mean, it's like it's just like he's literally the best player on the field at all times. Just player in general. Not just quarterback, just player.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see what happens. I think the playoffs are going to be fun this year, especially with the extra team. You know, you're going to get a lot of like shitty teams that make the playoffs or are in that bubble. Teams like the Falcons, even the 49ers, who have been awful, they're going to probably on that bubble, and then they're probably going to get blown out by a team like the Ravens, or in the NFC, like the Packers or something. Whoever doesn't get that bye. But I think the playoffs will be pretty fun. It also gives us more people to choose from if we're doing any playoff rosters in DFS, which I'm sure we will do. Let's move on here to our next section. This is Mustard Dust, where I'm going to shout some names out to you guys, and you tell me whether or not you are musting or dusting them this week. So let's start with one guy here who we mentioned a bunch of. He was a common thread in the GPP wins, and that is James Conner. With an injury to Chase Edmonds, is James Conner the sexy pick this week? We musting or dusting?
So with him, it's like, all right, yeah, Chase Edmonds is out, right? We think he's just going to get all this work, but I believe that they're still going to, as long as Kyler's back, they're going to try to stay in their roles, meaning Eno is just going to take over for Chase Edmonds' role, and they're going to roll their offense just like they normally would. I don't think that, James Conner comes into a full, 80% role. And
let's look at that other guy. What's his name? Eno Benjamin, who also looked good.
Yeah. So it's like, is the ownership going to be up there? And if so, I'm fading that. At least definitely in tournaments.
You don't have to twist my arm to fade James Conner, man. I have been burned on James Conner in fantasy realms, season-long DFS for years now. Right. Don't have to twist. I will fade him to the high heavens. I hope his percentage is over 20% this weekend.
Right. So he's an okay play, but I think the ownership is going to outweigh what the actual production warrants.
Yeah, agreed. All right. What about this next guy? Was on our Goldfish list. This is Josh Allen. What do we think of him this week?
I mean, this guy got dominated by himself, apparently. Josh Allen on the other side of the ball.
Yeah,
They couldn't
forgot
stop,
about
they couldn't
that.
stop
It was-
jizzing about it on TV either.
Oh man, yeah. Scott Hansen on the red zone
It's
may have,
hilarious.
he may still be talking about it.
Yeah, he might still be doing it. You know, everybody has their off week, man. It's hard to, I mean, not that you can, but it's hard to come to play at the highest level every single week. So I'm definitely going to go right back to him. Hopefully this has depressed his ownership just a tad so that we can load up on the Bills in tournaments.
Yep. I agree with that sentiment. Josh Allen, like I said, he's having an MVP like year, even with the down week. Here's a guy. What about it's a guy that came back from injury last week. Definitely a slate breaker if he performs. What about Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah, so McCaffrey, you said it. He's a slate breaker when he performs. Massive usage, but I'm gonna dust him this week because one, they're playing with a backup quarterback who, I mean, not like Sam Darnold's done much anyways. But the issue is Arizona's gonna know that everything's going through McCaffrey. They're gonna key in on him, which may not even matter. He still may produce. It's Christian McCaffrey, but at his price tag, I just don't. I cannot warrant that in a tougher matchup with a backup quarterback.
Yep.
It just doesn't make sense when you can get a big name receiver in a better spot, or some of these other running backs that are cheaper by a couple $100 in better spots.
Too many variables with him. It's just price tag. Will the game script go his way? Will they perform well? Will he get re-injured? Like who knows? He hasn't exactly been Mr. Reliable in terms of health the last 2 years. So on again, off again. Last year it was brutal too. It was, they kept you in the dark. Will he play? Won't he play? IR for 3 weeks. Will he play? Won't he play? IR for 3 weeks. Like it's a pain in the ass if you're an owner of him in season long. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, I'm cool with that for now. Usually, CMC is not landing on too many dust lists, but this is all relevant. This is not like him as a player. This is for this week. Do we like or love him and or dust him? And that makes sense to me. How about another guy here who we've been pretty high on the last couple of weeks and is just nonstop performed, honestly, even though we sweat it out? That's Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen's kind of been our guy this year. He's been super consistent, but I got to dust him. Oddly enough, Miles Sanders goes down and their run game now is awesome. So somehow they lose a starting running back and decide that, okay, we're going to just commit to the run, to the point where Hurts has not even attempted 20 pass attempts the last 2 weeks. I had 17 last week and 14 the week before. In week 8, I was giving that low number. I was chalking that up to the fact that game was a blowout. It was over by half. He didn't need to throw, but last week he needed to throw and they still didn't. They just ran the ball. So, he still put up 17, which isn't terrible. Could I see him hitting 20? Absolutely. But it's a good Denver defense. I just don't like the volume I'm seeing. They just won't let him. If they're not gonna let the dude throw at least 20 times a game, I just don't know how you can go there.
Yeah, it's funny because he's turned out to be a good fantasy quarterback, but I don't know if the Eagles are settled on him being a full-time answer, like their future quarterback. So they obviously don't have the full confidence in him. So they're not like letting him kind of grip it and rip it, if you will. So that could be problematic for fantasy owners. A lot of his points actually just come from his legs, being able to do things on the ground. All right, last one here. Guy we like 100% of the time. See what I did there? Najee Harris.
100%. That's right. Najee is a must. He's really could be a must essentially all year since week 1. Week 1, he had, 16 carries for 45 yards, but we talked about he was literally on the field 100% of the time. Since then, he has yet to score less than 16.8 DK points, including 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight weeks of 21 or more before a season low the lowest since that week 1, 16.8 last week. So 16.8 is going to be his floor. I mean, that's hard to ignore. This week he gets a fantastic matchup against the Lions, who just got destroyed by the Eagles run game the other day. And the Eagles don't have anybody even comparable to Najee Harris. So I'm looking for Najee to easily score 20 plus here. Comes in at a decent price tag. He's probably going to be a core play in all my lineups.
I would say it sounds like we'll be talking about him on Sunday.
Yeah.
At 11 a.m. Eastern at a YouTube screen near you. That wraps up our must dust section. Thanks, guys. Let's move into the last section here of the night. This is Gimme the Loot. This is where we give you our mediocre and by no means confident picks, but we are keeping track of it. So let's do a recap. Last week, Dev, you went, I believe, 1-2. So that brings your record to 13-1. Solid 500, actually just above 500 with that tie. I also went 1-2. That brings my record to 12-14 and 1. So I gotta have a big week here to get back to 500 or more. And the Miz, you got some catching up to do, buddy. You also went 1-2, but that brings your record to 10-16 and 1. So maybe we stop picking the Texans and start trying a new strategy because it's reflecting in your record.
Totally. Horrible.
Look, do what I did. I stopped picking the 49ers and I jumped off that bandwagon, and I'm a better man for it. So you need to do the same with the Texans, and also just leave the Raiders alone. They're good.
I don't think they're good though.
Let's see who wants to go first here. I guess Dev, you can get the honors here since you have the best record.
Let me go last.
Okay. Miz, you want to go or do you want me to jump into it?
You can go first.
All right, cool. I have no idea what I'm going to pick, so I'm doing this on the fly. So let's see here. Okay. I think I'm going. All right, I got my teams. I got at least one. I'm going to go here with Tampa Bay -9.5 against the Washington Washington football team. Yeah, was that Stevie Janowski? Fucking Tampa,
Tampa.
Yeah, absolutely. Fucking Tampa. Tampa Bay Bucks -9.5 off a bye week against a team with the shitty defense. Also off a bye week. I will give them that, but I think they come out and win. Last time we saw Tampa Bay, they actually got embarrassed against New Orleans. Not embarrassed in a losing type of way, just embarrassed that they lost the game they probably should have won. So I'm going to go Tampa Bay here -9.5. I'm also going to go Dallas Cowboys -9 against the Falcons. I'm just gonna call it. It's not really a revenge game because they have no beef with the Falcons. It's just a revenge game in the fact that, like, again, they got walloped last week against a team they should have beat. They were double-digit favorites by the time that game kicked off. I think they bounced back strong here. I think Dak has a really good game. The Atlanta Falcons are not good anyways. I'm taking the Cowboys -9. So two pretty big spreads there. Two large numbers. So I'm going to try and dial this down a bit here. I'm actually going to take, this is a tough one because I can't give caveats, but if Aaron Rodgers plays, I think the Green Bay Packers at home against the Seattle Seahawks cover -3.5. No problem. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure Russell Wilson is off of IR. I don't know if he's going to play in that game. I think he is. But I don't think it matters, honestly, because the Seahawks aren't good. And 3.5 is an easy number that they can cover so long as Green Bay has all their weapons. So when we're talking on Sunday and it's Jordan Love, you'll hear me crying on the live show. But as long as Aaron Rodgers is in, I'm taking the Packers -3.5.
I would agree with all those, really. I'm on the Rams -4.
Oh, come on. Is this because I made that Texans comment? I'm sorry, dude.
No.
Oh, that's right. It's because the 49ers absolutely suck. I get it.
That's right. Yeah. And the Rams got owned last week, but they're so good. I mean, up until that game, So I'll be on that one. I mean, it's hard not to like the Bucks. I mean, let's be real. The Packers, obviously, that's a good one too. It's hard to argue that one. I think the Chiefs actually, they're, you know, they are a road favorite, but it's a divisional game. Sort of, you know, trying to get back into the swing of things here. I think the Chiefs upset the Raiders, I guess.
Picking against the Raiders, shocking,
Yeah,
shocking.
shocking. There's no way this continues with the Chiefs. They're gonna start to turn it around here eventually. And then I mean, Bills minus 13. I mean, that's a hard one to stay away from also. But I think that the Vikings actually show up and keep it close with the Chargers.
And what was that spread?
3.
So they're
Vikings,
+3 against the
Vikings
Chargers.
+3. Yep.
All right, cool. So we got the Vikings +3. We got the Chiefs minus 2.5 against the Raiders, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And who was that other team that you made? Oh, the Rams -4 against San Francisco.
That seems ridiculous, doesn't it?
It does, but it's a division game. It's in San Fran, so I guess maybe that's why they're doing that. I don't know.
I
Yeah,
guess.
it does. It does sound ridiculous. I don't know. I'm not even. You know, I'm happy the Niners lost last week because what would have happened was they would have beat the Cardinals. The Rams would have lost, and I would have been like, all right, the division is possible. Well, now I don't even feel that way at all. So I'm happy they didn't give me false hopes. Dev, you're up.
All right. Well, you know where I'm going first. Cleveland Browns +1.5.
Can't believe this strategy is working for you.
Told you they're better without Odell. They showed it. It's weird, but they're just Baker's a completely different quarterback without Odell. Like I said, that's not even just an opinion. Like that's a numbers backed at this point. So long Odell. I don't want to hear from him again.
So long.
I do like a lot of what you guys picked this week. I'm trying to stay away though. Give me the Broncos -2.5 at home against the Eagles. Eagles just don't trust Hurts like we talked about, and I don't think they can get away with just running the ball nonstop against the Broncos. Broncos coming off of a big win, you know, should have a little bit of confidence here, try to keep some momentum going. Stick the Broncos -2.5, and then we will go. Let's go with the Colts, team I have not picked all season. Jaguars feeling themselves a little bit too much. I think that was more so just the Bills not showing up. Colts really need to win this. Really should have beat the Titans the other week. They pretty much gave that game away. So
Wentz gonna Wentz, man.
What's that?
I said Wentz gonna Wentz.
Yeah. So and really, he just made like 2 really bad plays that lost in that game. So I think the Colts can cover here, win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of you guys' picks. I can't wait for Oakland to blow out Kansas City though. Just so
I'm actually like Oakland.
Blow out.
Oh, I'm sorry, Las Vegas.
Sorry, Las Vegas. The Raiders
But regardless,
lost that game more than the Giants won it last week. The Raiders were the better team by a mile last week. They just had 2 bad turnovers that won the Giants that game. So the Raiders are not that bad.
We'll see. And by the way, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that this segment is sponsored by OddsJam. Guys, head over to OddsJam. It's an innovative solution designed to identify odds that make you the winner every single time. So, you know, you go on their site, you see the fastest real-time data, to spot the discrepancies between different sports books, kind of like how we match up pricing discrepancies here between FanDuel and DraftKings. So spot the difference. help place or get help placing a risk-free bet and see profits of average up to 3% every day. So head over to oddsjam.com today and check it out. It's really a unique and cool website. All right, guys, anything else before we close out here? Anything that we're looking forward to on Sunday? Any games, any news? I think it's just business as usual, right? Week 10, here we come.
A lot of news to pay attention to, so be sure to be here Sunday, 11 o'clock, because the slate could change a ton based on news.
I mean,
Yep.
Ravens play Thursday night, which I always enjoy because then I don't have to worry about them on a Sunday. I can just focus on all the other games. So that's always fun. They should actually destroy the Dolphins, and they better. I'm sure Lamar is going to have a ton of friends and family there, being that he is from South Florida.
I am in the opposite camp as you. My Niners play on Monday night, and I won't have any other games to distract me from the absolute ass kicking that they're going to get. So I'm going to be forced to watch it. But we'll see. Hey, crazier things have happened this year. If the Jags can beat the Bills, the Niners can certainly beat the Rams. So go Niners. Keep me hoping one more week. Anyways, we will be back on Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern. Join us before kickoff as we go through all the news and notes from the previous day's occurrences, and we get you ready for that main slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Until then, I'm the host. These guys are the experts, and we will talk to you on Sunday.